Texas is now more red in the United States Congress.
Right now, we've got our one big, beautiful map signed into law in my home state of Texas, ensuring fair representation in Congress. This is DC Dispatch, and I'm Kristi Leigh. Coming up, LindellTV's Kara Castronova is joining me with big news about former VP Kamala Harris, and embalmer Richard Hirschman is sharing if the clot shot is still to blame for more deaths. But first, President Trump is still constantly having to fight for his right to do the will of the people who elected him. The latest face-off in court this morning against Fed Governor Lisa Cook. And Bill Pulte, the head of the Federal Housing Finance Agency, is turning up the heat on Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook with a new criminal referral over alleged mortgage fraud. This time it's about a third property in Massachusetts where Pulte claims Cook misrepresented a condo as a second home to snag better loan terms, only to later call it a rental. This follows earlier accusations about properties in Michigan and in Georgia. I mean, how does anyone get these many mortgages all at once anyway? These people are not like us, but no one is above the law unless you are a Democrat. Roger Stone shared on X, I'm certain that it's just a coincidence that the clerk of the DC court just happened to send fired Federal Reserve Board member Lisa Cook's lawsuit to the federal district judge who was Cook's sorority sister. Right. Politico reports Reserve Governor Lisa Cook is suing to block President Trump's attempt to fire her. And the case landed with Judge Gia Cobb, a Biden appointee who's already shown she's no fan of Trump's policies. Just this month, Cobb slapped down Trump's plan to fast-track deportations of immigrants fleeing violence. And she's questioned his administration's moves against FBI agents tied to January 6 probes, calling their concerns too speculative. Now she's set to rule on Cook's emergency bid to stay on the Fed board, and her past rulings suggest she just might not be in Trump's corner. Something new and different in DC, right? Lisa Cook pulled the race card in her filing, and that was pointed out by James Fishback here on X. Governor Cook is the first Black woman. Like, what does that have to do with this case? How likely is it that a Black female judge that's hearing this case would take that point there, would take that as bait? James Flashback also points out that the filing says the allegation, mortgage fraud, is wholly unrelated to her official duties. He says, what on earth is Cook talking about? She works at the Federal Reserve. Her job is to stop mortgage fraud, not commit it herself. So he says deeply unserious lawsuit, but again, in front of a deeply unserious judge, it seems. And now there will be no ruling today. Attorneys from both sides get until midweek next week to submit replies. There should be a way to challenge who's hearing this case, but everything works differently in DC, in the swamp. Now that Lisa Cook is yet another Democrat under fire for the same alleged crime, fake news tries to downplay mortgage fraud itself. The Washington Post is out with a piece on mortgage fraud, explaining how it involves lying on a loan application for better terms, like faking your primary residence. And they're using Lisa Cook's case, where Trump accused her of falsifying docs for 2 properties, as the hook, while noting convictions are super rare and only a tiny % of applications actually involve fraud. But get this, they're downplaying the whole thing by saying such misrepresentations. It's never lying with the Democrats. It's always, misrepresented. Such misrepresentations are common and often not prosecuted. I mean, we should all be able to lie on our mortgages then, right? They're doing this, obviously, though, because Dems like Adam Schiff and Letitia James are facing similar probes for allegedly doing the same thing. It's like they're making excuses to protect their own side from Trump's crackdown. Funny how no articles like this came out when Trump was facing all of his made-up crimes. Like, there was no apologetic articles about Trump didn't do anything anyone else wouldn't have done, right? And can you believe this MSN hit piece that's trying to scare us about President Trump's push for Fed control? They're whining that behind his bid to oust Lisa Cook and gain a majority on the board lurks this dangerous debt idea. Oh no! lower interest rates. That's dangerous. It might actually help Americans borrow and grow the economy instead of crushing us with high rates like under Biden. Oh, so dangerous. How ridiculous it is to define lower rates as a threat when they could slash our massive debt burden and smart boom times. These folks must really hate winning. New today, President Donald Trump has pulled the plug on former Vice President Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection just as she gears up for a nationwide book tour to promote her memoir, 107 Days. Normally, former VPs get 6 months of security, but President Joe Biden had quietly, secretively extended Harris's detail for an extra year until Trump canceled it with a letter effective September 1st, 2025. Joining to discuss this new development is our Kara Castronova, who's also been working on some other very important topics today. She's live in DC to share the details. Kara? Do we have
Kara, can you come back fast?
Okay, it looks like we're having trouble connecting with Kara. So we are going to be talking about more of these things. You know, I talked about how with this Lisa Cook case, she's putting actually in her file that she's the first Black woman to ever serve as federal governor because they're so desperately trying to make the fact that she committed mortgage fraud, she did something wrong, it's not her fault. Trump's only holding her accountable. We should only, anyone that says that no one is above the law and that she should be held accountable for that is racist. It would have to be because they're racist. It's super important that Lisa Cook was the first Black federal governor. Well, I'm going to be talking more with Kara about this taking away the Secret Service protection from Kamala Harris because, of course, it's not any legitimate reason Trump would do this. It's got to be because they're racist, because he's a racist. They're already saying this. Gavin Newsom, Mayor Karen Bass, they're already trying to paint this as just a racist move by President Trump. And they're actually saying that they're going to spend extra money from California coffers to secure Kamala Harris. And it's funny how they have the money to keep her safe, to give her extra security. But when it comes to, you know, the LA riots and keeping everyone else safe, there's no money, or this infringes upon people's rights and everything. It's funny how that works, isn't it? But we'll be talking more about that with Kara in just a bit. Is she here? If not, we're going to give her a little bit more time and perhaps go to commercial. Oh, okay. Well, we're going to go ahead and play the package that she put together, her story that she put together, and hopefully we'll be able to connect with Kara on the other side of this. Watch this.
More controversy is erupting inside the Department of Justice. A senior federal trial attorney by the name of Sigmund F. Fuchs has filed paperwork to dismiss a $100 million lawsuit brought by the Proud Boys, who were politically persecuted by President Biden's DOJ after the events of January 6th. The lawsuit, filed in June by Proud Boys leader Enrique Tarrio and the so-called Seditious Five, accuses the Biden administration's Justice Department of waging a, quote, egregious and systematic abuse of the legal system, end quote, to silence Trump supporters. The Proud Boys attorneys say they were targeted with inflated charges, deprived of due process, and handed decades-long sentences before President Trump ultimately pardoned or commuted them earlier this year. But the Department of Justice filing this week signals a sharp turn. Despite Trump's pardons, Pam Bondi's attorneys appear to be siding with Biden's DOJ and asking a federal judge to throw out the suit. The department argues that the Proud Boys have no proof that investigators fabricated testimony or planted evidence. They cite detention hearings and what they called, quote, incontrovertible photo evidence, end quote, of members inside the Capitol. That's a strange statement from the current DOJ, considering the now mostly undisputed fact that simply walking around the Capitol and taking photos does not equate to seditious conspiracy. The timing is explosive. Just days ago, the Biden's DOJ star witness against the Proud Boys, Jeremy Bertino, recanted, admitting under oath that FBI officials threatened and coerced him to commit perjury perjury in order to secure their seditious conspiracy convictions of the Proud Boys.
Were you forthcoming?
On the stand?
Yeah.
No, I twisted the story they wanted the way they wanted it twisted.
Okay.
Yeah.
He also alleges that the DOJ and the FBI conspired to construct a false narrative to ensure the Proud Boys would be found guilty, goading him into false testimony by threatening him with a 25-year prison sentence if he did not comply.
I think that if I didn't, I was looking at decades in prison for a crime I didn't commit.
Bertino further claims that FBI agent Nicole Miller, who still works at the Bureau, personally coached him into that false testimony during illegal, off-the-record meetings with Biden's DOJ.
How many times did you meet with them total? Just give me a ballpark.
15.
Do you know that they only told us that you met with them 3 times?
I'm surprised, but not surprised.
And legal experts now believe the very point of Biden's DOJ securing those Proud Boy convictions was to create a direct link to President Trump, laying the groundwork to later convict him of seditious conspiracy in his own J6 federal trial. And now many are asking, when will these federal officials, some still working inside the government, be investigated and held legally accountable for what they did to President Trump's supporters after January 6th? Many Trump supporters are calling the DOJ's move not just confusing, but dangerous, a sign that entrenched bureaucrats like Proud Boys prosecutor Jocelyn Ballentine continue to corrode the halls of the Department of Justice. Fun fact. DOJ attorney Sigmund F. Fuchs moonlights as a playwright when he's not targeting Trump supporters in court. His production, In the Closet, tells the story of 4 gay men who retreat into their metaphorical safe space, symbolized by a closet. As for Nicole Miller, well, she's still working at the FBI. And for someone who allegedly worked in secret, coercing federal witnesses, well, it's fitting that it's impossible to find a photo of her on the internet. President Trump delivered pardons, but bureaucrats loyal to the old Biden regime are still at work to undermine him. Some say this proves another deep cleanup is needed inside the DOJ. A federal judge will now decide if the $100 million lawsuit moves forward or if the Justice Department succeeds in shutting it down. The fight for justice for January 6th is far from over. And some are even asking, were the real conspirators not the Proud Boys at all, but the legal team and the government officials who worked together to allegedly frame them? Reporting from the White House for LindellTV, I'm Kara Castronova.
You know, I mean, Kara, that was excellent reporting, and it shows that there needs to be penalties for this type of coercive entrapment. I mean, because that's what it is when you're hanging decades over someone and saying you need to say this or you'll be behind bars for the foreseeable future. That's not justice, and they should be held accountable for it. It's disgusting that Nicole Miller is still with the DOJ.
Right. And a lot of others too, Kristi, like Jocelyn Ballentine, who was one of the prosecutors. She has a really bad reputation. She was really one of the really bad cops that was there during the Biden regime prosecuting J6ers, and various other people like this individual, Sigmund Fuchs, who is the person who authored this motion to dismiss this lawsuit. He's a very questionable character. I'm investigating him further. But the Department of Justice really does need more of a clean out. Obviously, President Trump fired a lot of the top prosecutors that were there spearheading those J6 trials. But like a friend of mine, a J6 attorney, said those J6 trials were sort of like training simulators for the next generation of lawyers. There were a lot of young attorneys, a lot of people working underneath these top prosecutors that were learning, that were using these trials to learn basically how to politically persecute Americans. And all of these people are still there, including in the FBI. So a real deep clean out needs to be done, a second clean out, really at these less high profile individuals at the Department of Justice.
It truly feels like a virus. Like, how hard is it to clean this out? I mean, we're constantly doing stories of holdovers that are trying to sabotage Trump or subvert justice, whether it be in the DOJ or whether it be in the MAHA movement. It truly is a disease that they really need. It makes you wonder why they didn't just burn it down, if you will, and start over, because it doesn't seem like this is working. The amount of people that are being able to remain, and it also is hard not to question the FBI director, Kash Patel, Pam Bongino. They have had a terrible PR time, but it's because people are frustrated. It's because we so badly want to see justice, and we understand that they're working, but it takes cleaning out the system first. And we can see that just isn't done. But I loved how in your reporting you were able to give us background on Fuchs. I mean, where did they get these people? He moonlights as a playwright as well. I mean, it's just always the wildest of characters that have been filling DC, and it's very, very strange. But also, I was telling our audience before you came on just about this new development of Trump removing Kamala Harris's Secret Service protection. And as usual, it's very telling the reaction of the left acting like this is just, oh, this is vindictive. It's just Trump being mean again. But failing to focus, of course, on the fact that this was secretively done by Biden to extend her Secret Service protection, and it would be abnormal to continue the protection further.
Right. It was up on June 21st, from what I understand. The vice president gets 6 months after they leave office, which Kamala Harris did. She was not elected president, as you know. So her Secret Service detail should have been pulled a while ago. Biden secretly, without knowledge of, I guess, the news media, because it wasn't reported on until it was pulled, extended that. So I don't know why he did that, why he felt she was in any type of specific danger, but that's been pulled. And I'm not sure if you discussed this before I came on. Just so you know, there was a gaggle with Stephen Miller just right next to me, and I had to jump into that and try to get a question. I wanted to ask him what's going on with that executive order regarding the mail-in ballots, because I know he's a big policy guy here at the White House, and maybe he would give us some answers. There was a lot of media here, so I didn't get the question in, but I do wanted to hit back on that. I don't know if you brought up that X post that was queued up regarding how apparently being a black woman is a reason Democrats rationalize giving Kamala Harris extra Secret Service protection. Did you guys discuss that yet? That was put out today by Paul Spypula on X, and he's saying it's shameful that Harris, according to people familiar with her security operations, faced particular security concerns given she was the first quote unquote black woman in the role. So this is being reported on CNN that puts the former vice president in danger. And I look forward to working with the governor to make sure Vice President Harris is safe in Los Angeles. Like, it's absolutely absurd that this would be an issue, that they would play this race card. But of course, this is what they always have to go to, the lowest common denominator, literally saying that the reason that she needs more security is because she's black. And it's actually been very reported, and receipts have been given by Candace Owens, who did a docuseries on this, that actually Kamala Harris is Indian. This is something I wouldn't say if I didn't really believe it to be true, but she's actually a very small percent, if that, African American. She is not black. And I cannot believe that CNN continues to spread this false information. That was something that Candace Owens alleged and never was sued or sent a cease and desist by the Kamala Harris campaign, because it was accurate and she actually had receipts. So that is interesting. I think that race card is still being played by Kamala Harris. And if you guys want to also bring up that other soundbite right there that was put out today by Johnny St. Pete on X about how, we don't have that one, I guess, up, but that was a post of Kamala Harris losing her Secret Service protection, and basically those in the fake news on MSNBC in particular having meltdowns because of that. Like when we mentioned earlier, Kristi, that is completely normal.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting, and I was pointing out earlier that it's the race card is always pulled. They're pulling it with Lisa Cook, acting as if, he's only going after her committing mortgage fraud because she's black and female. And then even in this case, maybe you would have an argument if you could show any evidence that Kamala was under threat when she served as vice president over the past 4 years. I don't remember hearing anything about that. Do you?
Yeah, I don't. And actually, we do have that soundbite the producer just told me. So I would like you to take a listen to this MSNBC clip, a typical mainstream media meltdown.
No,
Please take a
because
listen.
the Secret Service works for weeks on these things. The security apparatus is planned for a very long time, so they weren't prepared for it. You know, but it's also a piece of how Donald Trump works, right? Because it is retributive, right? It's not just, we want to save money on the Secret Service or, this is weird. They do it because, some of the Harris folks said because of distractions from all of the things that are swirling around. And two, just because he doesn't like Vice President Kamala Harris. At the end of the day, that is what I heard over and over and over again. And it speaks to how Donald Trump operates. He used the government to deal with his own personal animosity with people.
It's so
ridiculous.
ridiculous.
Typical
She
lies.
ended up getting
it is
three extra months than people normally get, and he's being mean.
Right. And I'm not going to even give that person name recognition. That individual is a White House, quote unquote, correspondent here and was, I believe, the president of the White House Correspondents Association. But I've never, ever seen them really here at the White House and has spread lies, actually, about those at LindellTV. So that person is a known liar to the network that is, again, spreading that false information regarding President Trump's intentions and saying that it's literally personal. That's the reason why he's pulling Kamala's security detail. That's absolutely ridiculous, Kristi.
Yeah, it's they're always trying to drum up drama one way or another to distract from all of their own malfeasance. But Kara, thank you so much for your reporting, and I encourage our viewers to share that story because that was very well done. Thank you so much, Kara.
Thank you, Kristi. Have a great show and a good Labor Day.
You as well. All right, coming up. Clot shots still doing damage. We're going to dig into that. But quick reminder, join our editorial board. Send us your news tips and ideas. Let us know what you want to hear more about. Actually, this next topic that we're going to be digging into is from you all. You were saying that you were interested in how more of these fibrous clots after this clot shot has been administered have continued to be being found. And so we're listening and we're going to cover that with embalmer Richard Hirschman here in a moment. But again, you can send those to email news. You can email those to news@LindellTV.com, news@LindellTV.com for the tips and ideas and guest ideas. All right. Also sign up to Vocal and you can connect with any of our hosts, including myself. I'm Kristi Leigh TV at vocal.com over there on Vocal. You can share freely. We're not doing any funky algorithms like X that are going to get you shadow banned or anything like that. So if you want true freedom, true connection, make sure you sign up for Vocal. All right, we're going to take a quick break and we'll be back in a moment.
Welcome to Vocal, the free speech social app that gives you a platform to amplify your voice. Speak freely, connect boldly, and be part of a growing movement for truth, faith, and freedom. Want to know what's happening right now? The Now Playing feature shows you exactly who's live and what's streaming in real time. Check out the show's feed, a non-stop lineup including LindellTV News 24/7, shows and on-demand programming all in one place. Connect with your favorite host and never miss a show. Explore the featured page for quick access to LindellTV's top shows. Follow your favorites and watch their newest content flow right into your feed. And when they go live on Vocal, you can join the live chat and be part of the action. Ask questions, share your thoughts, even help shape future shows. Stay informed on issues around securing our elections by following your state's Cause of America account. Join a group and connect on a deeper level, from faith and freedom to the future of our nation. Go to vocal.com or download the app today and be a part of the mission to save our country.
If you want to drop extra pounds, boost energy levels, and reduce swelling in your legs and feet, then this message is for you. Pure Health Research is on a mission to make America healthy again. And two of their best-selling health supplements are leading the way. First is Liver Health Formula. Over 100 million Americans have a sluggish liver that's riddled with fatty deposits. This can kill your metabolism, pile on the pounds, and make you feel tired. Liver Health Formula takes care of that. It supports thriving liver health with special nutrients like artichoke extract and milk thistle. This is one of the easiest ways to slim down and revitalize your energy levels. Next is lymph system support. If you struggle with fluid buildup or swelling in your legs, ankles, and feet, this is for you. The natural ingredients in lymph system support help gently flush away extra fluid and toxins out of your body. And right now, for a limited time, you get 35% off liver health formula and lymph system support, along with 50 plus other health supplements that Pure Health Research has to offer. So head over to purehealthresearch.com and use promo code Lindell at checkout. That's purehealthresearch.com, promo code Lindell to save 35% on your order today.
We are continuing to follow a story Vanessa Broussard covered the other day there on Spin Room about embalmers still finding white fibrous clots in 17% of corpses, according to that source. Joining me to discuss today is Richard Hirschman, a board-certified funeral director and embalmer from Alabama with over 20 years of experience. He's made waves as a whistleblower featured in the documentary Died Suddenly, where he raised alarms about unusual white fibrous clots he found in deceased since 2021. So thank you, Richard, for joining me.
Hey, nice to be here, Kristi. Thank you.
Yes. I wish we had better topics to cover, Richard. You're always a delight to talk to. And here we are talking about clots and the dead folks. And you feel pretty strongly, because you've been an embalmer for 2 decades, that this is something new and different that you hadn't seen before. And are you still seeing them?
Absolutely. I have a vial of them right here. This is not that old. And of course, I have a handful of others that are pretty unique. And of course, I don't know if you've ever seen this one right here, but this one is 19 inches long. So this is the kind of strange fiber stuff that we're talking about. And yes, I'm still seeing these things. Saw some today, as a matter of fact. I saw some yesterday. So it's still prevalent. It does seem like the death rate has slowed down a little bit in my area. So I haven't been quite as busy, which is a good sign.
Yeah, definitely. What do you think about that stat that I shared? Someone else had shared that with us, that 17% of corpses are still have these white fibrous clots. Do you think that sounds about right?
Well, I think the numbers are actually higher than that. That was from Thomas Haviland, who had done a survey at a recent live survey at a Tennessee Funeral Directors Association that he was invited to speak at, and that was the amount that they were seeing at this point. But I think the numbers are higher because even myself, before I was actually notating and trying to keep track of how often I'm seeing it, I thought the numbers were a little less than they actually are. And there are some embalmers that might say that the numbers are higher, but unless they're actually writing down how often they're seeing it, I think you end up with a little bit of a recency bias. So if you're not seeing it very much lately, you'll say it's not very much. And if you're seeing it a lot lately, you'll say you're seeing it all the time.
Yeah, that makes sense. And, in doing a little bit of reading about this, some articles say that this phenomenon could be related to COVID-19 itself, not necessarily the shots. How do you feel about that?
Well, in the very beginning, I didn't know 100% what was causing these clots. But I do know through the work of some of the scientists and researchers I've been dealing with, one of them is Kevin McCarran, which I saw you had shown an image from his Substack article where he's actually looked at these clots under a microscope, done actual testing. And yes, I believe it is, can be caused from the virus as well. It's because, according to some of the research, that there are amyloidogenic peptides or sequences, whatever, that's attached to the spike protein. Well, that's great. But the problem we still run into is they ended up creating the mRNA vaccine that makes the body create the spike protein that has these amyloidogenic features on them. So it's no wonder why the clotting issues got worse after the rollout of the vaccine. I mean, this is my opinion. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a scientist, but I am an embalmer, and I know when I began seeing these strange clots, and I still see them today.
As being an embalmer, do you ever have the opportunity to talk to the families of the deceased to get a little bit more insight on perhaps why they would have been predisposed to something like that? Or have you heard from other people about, oh, this happened to my family member? What's the personal side of this?
Well, because I'm a trade embalmer, I do not meet with family members, so I don't have the opportunity to sit down and discuss these things. And it'd be kind of strange for someone like myself to just waltz into the family and just start talking to them out of the blue because they are not familiar with who I am. So I don't get that information personally. However, there are some funeral directors who are awake and are realize what's going on, and often they get the chance to ask the family members because they're curious as well. I've had some of them say that everyone that they've had run-ins with these strange clots were vaccinated, but I can't say 100% that because I've had a couple of reports where the individual was not vaccinated but had received some form of a blood transfusion or a blood product, which raises a concern of the blood supply being contaminated. And the work that Kevin McCarran has done in Japan, he's looked at these things under a microscope. And he's done thioflavin T staining. He's pretty much confirmed now the suspect of amyloid. Even Dr. Ryan Cole and Arnie Burkhart said that they were finding amyloid-like structures. That image that you're showing on your screen right there is this type of clot that's right in here under a scanning electron microscope. And there's another image that he shares in his Substack that has like 3 different pictures, which is really unique because that's not the image I'm actually looking for. That's coming out of a living person. We've had a whistleblower that had reached out. And if you could zoom in on some of that stuff, you'd probably find that there's this white fibrous thing running along inside that clot that's shown on the right-hand side of the screen.
So what's the significance of that? I mean, you're saying a big word, amyloid or something like that. I'm like,
Yes.
What does that mean? Dumb that down for me.
Oh, yeah, it's great. So we all have fibrin. Fibrin is a part of the clotting process, and it's just a protein. And the normal clotting process has alpha, beta, and gamma chain of fibrin molecules that kind of come together like this. And if you think of just a fibrin molecule as a paperclip, well, if you take this paperclip and you do this right here where you bend it up into a big tight little ball, this no longer works like this. It's a misfolded paperclip. And so what happens when you get a bunch of these things together, they'll clump together and tie into these weird, unique shapes, and they become difficult to break down because the natural enzymes that would break it down have a hard time to break this stuff down. So this stuff could be accumulating inside of the body over time. I hope that explains that a little bit better. Amyloid is nothing more than a misfolded protein, just like a misfolded paperclip.
Okay, excellent. And I was curious, because you feel strongly that these shots have had a hand in you seeing more incidents of these deadly clots. There has been more talk recently that they are trying to get these COVID-19 vaccines removed. Dr. Asima Haltra says he thinks that they'll be removed from the market within months. Do you have any inside knowledge on the effort to get these shots finally pulled? Do you think it can be done?
Well, that's a great question. As a matter of fact, you were the first person that kind of brought that to my attention. Then later that same day, I saw another thing. And then I saw just the other day, Asim Malhotra said something similar. I do know, I have spoken to people. I have spoken long before RFK Jr. was running for president. Early on, when I was seeing these things, he had somebody reach out to me and set up a meeting with me. So he's known about these clots. So I'm hoping that they will investigate this, that they will eventually remove these from the market, because as I said a little bit ago, it seems like the numbers are coming down some. Is it because fewer and fewer people are accepting these mRNA vaccines? So I'm hopeful that it will happen. But like everything in politics, I'm prepared to be disappointed.
Yeah. And it is, politics are tough. I mean, a lot of the promises made have been hard to keep, just because there's been such a resistance. I know RFK Jr. just recently dealt with a walkout. He's trying to fire this CDC director, Susan Monteraz, and she's challenging the firing now, but others have resigned. So lots of shakeups within the CDC. What do you make of all of these MAHA movements, if you will?
Well, I think the movement is good. I think that there is a lot of there's a lot of good intentions. Unfortunately, good intentions doesn't always come to good results. I do believe that in a weird, strange way, it might sound crazy, but this is kind of a security, national security issue, because what happens if they were to pull this from the market today or tomorrow or whenever they do, it's kind of an admission that the thing that they pushed, that they mandated, and remember, a lot of Congress people and government officials exempted themselves from this poison, but they didn't protect the constituents, we the people, from being forced by our employers or by whatever to receive these toxic agents. Imagine if half of the world wakes up and realizes they've been potentially poisoned by their own government. This could be a very, very, it could lead to some really mistrust of the people that are in power.
Well, I think we're already at the mistrust stage. So doesn't seem like it could get too much worse. Have you been able to find out anything for those that have heard your story, heard you speak, and been worried and said, Dr. Hirschman, is there Richard Hirschman, is there anything I can do? Like if I got the shot, is there anything I can do? Now I'm worried about these strange clots developing in my own body. Is there anything I can do to protect myself? What are you able to tell them?
Well, I'm not a doctor, so I can't really say 100% whether any of these protocols might work. But Dr. Peter McCullough has protocols that he's put out there. There are some of the researchers that I know that have they've given me a list of some things that they themselves have used or had family members use, like quercetin and NAC and vitamin C, glutathione, those kind of things. Bromelain, all the stuff Peter McCullough talks about. But some people it helps and some people it doesn't. The issue that I think we have here, Kristi, is like Kevin McCarran has said on one of his interviews, this amyloid that's floating through the bloodstream could answer a lot of questions, from cancers to blood clots and everything in between. So when these misfolded proteins are floating around, I mean, are we looking at a potential amyloidosis of the blood system itself? Instead of just amyloid deposits in the brain or whatever, you're talking about amyloid floating around in the circulatory system, and you don't know where those amyloids will end up. If they end up in the heart, you'll have heart issues. If they end up in the liver, you may have liver issues. If they end up in the brain, you may have cognitive or all kinds of different issues. Right. It could explain what Pfizer or the FDA tried to prevent for 55 years, and that is the potential harms of these vaccines. I mean, wasn't there like 1,200 potential side effects? I mean, that's a lot of side effects that we were told originally that this thing is safe and effective, and, you know, we have to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, Richard, thank you so much for staying on this and reporting back like what you're seeing. And is there any way that folks can stay connected to you? Should they just follow you on X there? We have it listed there, R_Hirschman.
Yeah. They can follow me on X. If they're interested in learning a lot more about these clots, I suggest that they look up Dr. Kevin McCairn. That's McCairn. But there's also a Laura Kasner who's done a wonderful Substack that's been keeping up, and she's in contact with Tom Havlin that's been doing surveys of embalmers and trying to get to the bottom of how many people are seeing these. And he's been reporting all of his stuff back to the government, but yet they do nothing about it.
Well, again, thank you for being brave, because when this was first coming out, I called around to all kinds of family funeral homes thinking maybe they would tell me the truth, but I called around to all these funeral homes and asked them, and they're like, no, our embalmers haven't said that they've seen anything like that. And I just didn't buy it, which is just really sad. But maybe they didn't even ask the embalmers, because again, it's just all about the bottom dollar, right?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, Tom Havlin did his last survey that he did last year, at the end of last year. 83% of the embalmers acknowledge now seeing these white clots. 83% out of the 300 people that did the survey. That's a pretty significant amount of embalmers that are now acknowledging these things. And the thing is it started all roughly at the same time. So even if it's not the COVID vaccine or the virus itself that's causing these abnormal, strange clots, then I think it's important we figure out what the heck it is, because if we don't, more harm will be done. And we need to figure out exactly, understand just what is it, but now how do we help the body to get rid of it?
Absolutely, 100%.
And that's above my pay grade.
Yeah, but thank you for continuing to be a source to tell the truth, and so that we're aware of this. I mean, and sometimes that's all you can do. Thank you so much, Richard.
All right, thank you, Kristi. God bless.
You too. Isn't it wild that, as he said, there's 83% of embalmers saying that they're pulling out these deadly fibrous clots out of people, and you hear nothing from legacy media, and yet legacy media is saying how many kids have to die before we do something about it when it comes to a mass shooting. Yes, of course, we all want to be angry about that, but where's your anger when things are happening on even a larger scale, potentially at the hands of the government? I mean, that's wild. And where is the outrage there? But we're going to continue to expose this malfeasance and hopefully get to the bottom of it and hold people accountable. And hopefully that's what they're working on in the Maha movement right now. All right, coming up, strange new information coming out about the trans shooters' parents. But first, I want to remind you that we can talk to people like Richard Hirschman, elevate his voice, be a voice for the voiceless, thanks to you and your support of this network. And you can do that by supporting MyPillow. This is what's really funding this operation, this network that Mike Lindell is so passionate about. And I mean, what a great way to support hearing truth, hear important information by shopping. You can do some shopping, get some amazing products, and be helping fund this network at the same time. So I encourage you to go to mypillow.com, use promo code KL, and try some of the new products. I happen to be drinking the blue Rev 7 right now, and it's delicious. I mean, I will always want to use some more energy. But again, the pillows, the towels, the sheets, so much to explore, so many options, and your support will continue to fund getting information out there. We're done with censorship, and Mike Lindell's passionate about our First Amendment right to communicate with one another. So again, mypillow.com, Promo code KL. Check out these Rev 7. See, so you know I'm not lying. I'm drinking it right now. need a little bit more energy. This is caffeine free, but powered by Go BHB, and it tastes delicious. So yeah, I'm liking it. Try it out. All right, we are going to dive right in. Actually, keep this going. We're going to dive right into our next topic. We're learning more about the cowardly trans shooter who took the lives of children while they prayed at Mass in Minneapolis. And federal agents, they stormed the Naples condo of Mary Grace Westman, mother of Minneapolis school shooter Robin Westman, after she refused to talk to cops about her child's horrific attack that killed 2 kids and injured 18 at Annunciation Catholic School. Mary Grace, who once worked at the school, lawyered up with high-profile attorney Ryan Gary, who says she's distraught and not culpable. This comes after revelations of Robin's disturbing obsession with mass shooters and past police visits to their home. Now, so that's the mother. She's evading talking about this issue at last check. Now let's turn to the father. InfoWars is dropping bombshells, claiming the father of this shooter, the Minneapolis school shooter, has been a top-level CIA and DOD contractor for 29 years. They did some digging through LinkedIn profiles and other documents to back up this finding. And with that, they're pointing to a pattern, saying family ties to intelligence agencies keep popping up in school shootings and in other mass shootings. I believe even there was a family member of one of those that tried to kill the president, if I'm not mistaken. But of course, InfoWars and us were questioning why the mainstream media isn't digging into this. Isn't that strange that there's now a pattern of government workers that are tied to school shooters? It also ties the shooter's motives to a disturbing fixation on satanic themes and trans ideology based on that manifesto that he had posted online, and they quickly tried to scrub and hide. But legacy media, they're more concerned with respecting the shooter's preferred pronouns. We got to make sure we respect the shooter, not the victims. Jake Tapper wants to make sure the shooter, the killer, the cowardice murderer is identified as he wished. Watch.
Another piece of the puzzle as to who the shooter was. The Minneapolis Star Tribune says, according to court records, because there's been some confusion about what the shooter's name was.
Yes.
Robin Westman's mother applied to change her child's name in 2019. It was at one point Robert Paul Westman.
Correct.
But since she identifies as a female and wants her name to reflect that identification, was underage, it's now Robin.
I mean, to spend even any bit of a time on making sure that they respect the way the shooter wanted to be identified. This after we had heard in those press conferences from the chief of police that and other law enforcement that was one of the motivations of the shooter is the notoriety. He was obsessed with other famous school shooters. He wanted his name to be spread far and wide. And so some of them were purposefully not even saying his name. And now you have legacy media people and Jake Tapper fawning over how this person wanted to be identified and naming the name over and over again. Now compare that to a report from Jesse Waters, where he says, like most of the media is missing the main point here, the service that it would be to their viewers to point out the danger of this transsexual population, how prone they've been to violence. Watch this.
Suicidal transgender who hates Trump's Christians and Jews shoots up kids at a Catholic school, and the media wants to take away your handgun. So how are we supposed to protect ourselves from trans shooters? The media is bad at pattern recognition. We aren't. Just 2 years ago, another trans 20-something walked into a Christian school in Nashville with a rifle and shot 3 kids and 3 adults. They buried the manifesto and locked down the case. We've seen trans shootings in Colorado and in Maryland. They even shot up an ICE facility in Texas. And it seems like half of Antifa's trans. A couple of they-thems just got popped for firebombing Teslas. The mayor of Minneapolis says, you can't say that.
Anybody who is using this as an using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity. We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids.
I don't hate anyone who thinks they're trans. I feel sorry for them. But statistically, the trans population has been prone to violence. That's not villainizing, that's reality. And if you can't recognize reality, you're in danger. We love the American people, especially American children. And if they're troubled and believe they're somehow a girl trapped in a boy's body, we want to get them help. We don't want to give them hormones and operate on them. Society shouldn't be trying to produce more trans kids. We shouldn't be encouraging an emotional disorder or whatever this is. And doctors should stop profiting from it. Great Britain ended child sex change surgeries. They said it's barbaric, and they're right. And politicians should stop elevating the trans issue like it's the civil rights struggle of the 21st century. You see it all over Minneapolis.
Minneapolis will continue to be a safe haven for our trans community.
For being a safe haven for transgender individuals.
We have sued them for gender-affirming care. Yes, we are not going to scapegoat our transgender community.
When our children tell us who they are, it is our job as grown-ups to listen and to believe them.
No, it's not. No, it is not our job to entertain their fantasies, especially when it can lead to depression, suicide, and violence. And you saw all of those politicians, in particular Tim Walz, saying that they were going to defend the trans. Well, who is there to defend the little kids praying? It is because of this fawning over this ideology, in large part, that children were killed, that children were terrorized, and shame on all of them for not addressing the issue. And as Jesse Waters says, the empathetic thing to do would be to get these trans individuals the help that they need so that they don't have to live their life in anger and hate and destroy the lives of not only their victims, but their own personal families. Those families are destroyed now, anybody they're related to. So it is awful, awful. We also don't want to deny the demonic element to this either. We know many of these shooters have been put on drugs, SSRIs, and these drugs can help open a window, inviting spiritual attack and possibly even possession. Did you see that journal? We have it up on the screen right now, that journal entry that he had there. Sovereign Bra said the trans shooter drew a picture of himself as Baphomet and described the demonic forces controlling him in his journal. Those that figured out what some of those words meant. There was even a help on the side. This is what trans ideology does. The kid quite literally became possessed by demons. Very sad, very tragic. Meanwhile, Democrats like the mayor of Minnesota rushed to defend the assailant and slam prayer after the FBI is investigating if the crime itself can be characterized as a hate crime against Christians and Catholics. Here he is saying that.
Have a deceased child. You cannot put into words the gravity, the tragedy, or the absolute pain of this situation. We are a Minneapolis family. But to everybody out there, do not think of these as just somebody else's kids. Those families are suffering immense pain right now. Think of this as if it were your own. Every one of us needs to be wrapping our arms around these families, giving them every ounce that we can muster. These were Minneapolis families. These were American families.
He goes on to basically say that, prayer isn't going to do anything. He slams prayer there. Attack and violence against Christians is up. Yet the Minnesota mayor is worried about the safety of the trans community. Just look at this.
It's a growing problem in the United States with the number of hostile attacks against Christians skyrocketing. Just last year, there were 415 incidents, which is a 730% increase just since 2018.
There you go. All right, we're going to take a quick break, and when I get back, I'm just going to give you a quick update on Trump's efforts to curb crime.
Whether it's being a weekend warrior or spending time with your family, feeling your best is the key to doing the things you love. That's why I'm excited to tell you about Nirvanta. It's a natural solution designed to help you stay active and live well naturally. Nirvanta is a topical blend of all natural essential oils like frankincense, myrrh, and a proprietary gold standard plant stock extract. It's perfect for your hands, feet, knees, back, or anywhere else that needs a little extra care. Use Nirvanta proactively as part of your daily maintenance routine, and you're guaranteed you're going to feel the difference. Simply massage Nirvanta in for at least 60 seconds, 2 to 3 times a day to get the best results. And if you're not completely satisfied, you get your money back. No questions asked. There's simply no risk and no reason not to try Nirvanta today. Right now, you get 15% off with code Lindell exclusively at nirvantahealth.com. So stop reaching out for that medicine cabinet. Get Nirvanta instead and experience the difference. Go to nirvantahealth.com. Use code Lindell to get 15% off today. Nirvanta Health. Live well naturally. With everybody talking about making America healthy again, I thought today'd be a great day to talk to all my fellow patriots about the importance of making your homes healthy again. Well, we have proudly partnered with airwaterhealing.com and their revolutionary whole home air purification system. The V3 from Air Water Healing does 3,000 square feet of purification. It eliminates dust, mold, viruses, and odors. But here's the part I love. They require no filters to ever be changed and virtually no maintenance. Whether you suffer from asthma, allergies, seasonal bronchitis, or just want to protect your family from the flu or even greater threats, don't wait to get your V3 from airwaterhealing.com today. Use code Lindell for 20% off in savings and free shipping. That's promo code Lindell at airwaterhealing.com.
Hey, check it out. Trump's efforts to clean up crime are working. Mary Margaret Olahan from Daily Wire says 86 more arrests in D.C. last night, including 33 illegal aliens. That brings total arrests to just over 1,000, nearly 1,500 since August 7th. And this is including things like a Trende Aragua gang member who is also subject of an ATF murder for hire investigation in Colorado, and so much more, cleaning up those D.C. city streets. And then on top of that, the Department of Transportation is taking back control of Union Station, aiming to spruce up the historic hub after years of neglect as part of President Trump's push to make D.C. safe and beautiful again. That's according to CNN. This move follows Trump's deployment of National Guard troops and federal agents around the station to crack down on crime, with Mayor Muriel Bowser calling it a potential significant investment for the region, which is interesting because she sure has flip-flopped, because now she's even been saying that she's grateful to Trump for reducing crime in the city. So interesting turn about that. And that's all the time I have for DC's Dispatch. Keep it locked in right here. Vanessa Broussard with Spin Room is next. I'm Kristi Leigh, and have a wonderful Labor Day.